स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ। Offering our salutations to the Holy Trinity and to most revered Srimad Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj on his 112th Jayanti, organized by our devotees here in Hyderabad, Prem Kumar ji and his family. I offer my pranams to Maharaj, who exists in spirit, who lives in spirit in the Hyderabad Mutt, in Belur Mutt, and in the hearts of all the devotees and disciples. Is indeed a very innovative idea during the pandemic time, during the terrible times, last 8.5 months that we are facing. And thanks to technology, thanks to the apps that are available for meeting each other, we have connected with the entire world. People from Australia, people from America, and people from other parts of the country are attending this satsang called Guru Smaran in memory of most revered Maharaj. To cut the story short, there are few incidents, few things that I have learned from him, not only while staying with him in Hyderabad or serving him whenever he used to come to Bangalore or Visakhapatnam and other centers, but during my pre-monastic days too. I was indeed for a very big surprise, a very shock of my life rather, when I had decided that I would be joining the order. And I was maybe in the final year of my studies. I had mentioned to Maharaj that I would be visiting him, seek his blessings, and then spend some time with him in Hyderabad and then move on. I had written a letter to him, but then I did not get any reply. I was in for surprise. I was dumbfounded. Maharaj did not reply. But then I called the Hyderabad Mutt, and Swami Paramarthanji received the call and said, "You are welcome. No need to get a reply from Revered Maharaj." So I was happy in one way. I reached the Hyderabad Mutt and straight went to the guest house because I was still a youth, still at home. I was standing there, paying for the rickshaw and other things. One Swami passed by, just went across me, and then he recollected, "Are you from Bangalore?" I said, "Yes." "Why are you here?" he asked me. I said, "To enter into the guest house." I returned to Maharaj and got the news that the room is allotted to me to stay here in the guest house. Then probably I remember now it must have been Brahmasthanandaji, who is now in Nagpur Ramakrishna Math as the president. He said, "No, you should not be in the guest house." I raised my eyebrows. Then I said, "Don't be shocked. Your room will be in the monastic quarters, along with all of us." It was a second blow on me. This was another big surprise. I did not expect this, because monastic quarters is only for monks and brahmacharis. But then we walked together. Maharaj took me into the guest house, into the monks' quarters, and there is my room, next to Revered Maharaj's room. A wonderful blessing that I got even in my pre-monastic days. And after ablutions, after breakfast, he said, "Meet me at 11 o'clock. I went to his room at 11 o'clock, as usual, as many devotees devotees know, busy with writing, corresponding, editing, preparing for his lectures, or giving interviews to people, counseling them. And there I was, this young fellow. And straight away he said, "You are not going to waste any time. You are going to the library and read these books. And you should tell me, what are you reading?" Like a loving father, like a loving mother, like a guru, he led me forward in developing the love towards study, love towards science, love towards literature, love towards Swami Vivekananda's teachings. And every time I met him in the afternoon or evening, he used to ask me, "What are you reading? Are you reading those books?" which I had suggested. And he used to ask me the summary of them. That was the training, that was that formative period that Revered Maharaj led me through. And one interesting thing, how the spiritual vibrations worked in him, how he used to invoke that spiritual strength in him. In Bangalore, once he had come, when I was a brahmachari there, and he was suffering from severe throat infection, terrible cough, and a little bit of fever too. And that evening there was a big talk, already announced 15 days ago, and 3,000, 4,000 devotees would assemble in the campus of the Ramakrishna Math, Bangalore. And here is this man. That time he was the head of the Math, Hyderabad Math. He was not the vice president. But then the name had spread far and wide. I'm speaking about the 80s. Severe cough. It was very painful for us to know. We used to cough and flum, go to the washroom, come back, lie down, and tonic was given, which did not suit him, but then he had to take it. He had to follow the doctor's prescriptions. And we were wondering how he will, whether the lecture will be cancelled. He said, "Give me 15 minutes time before the lecture. Don't allow anybody to come." They closed the door, moved out, and then at exactly 5:40, he came, moved with us to the auditorium, 3,000 people in the campus. He sat there in his own regal style, kingly style, crossing legged, and then he started the Katha Upanishad of the practical Vedanta and application of Vedanta in teachings. Believe me or not, I was there by the side. He asked me just to keep a glass of water, if required, and I did it. For the next 1 hour plus, there's not a single cough, not a single irritation of the throat, and inspiration was flowing. Cream and honey, milk and honey was flowing. The Swamiji's ideas were flowing. Absolutely normal. They were in for a shock. They were so surprised. They were whispering among themselves that kavacham that he had within himself, that kavacham of Sri Ramakrishna, that shield that he had is incredible, is inexpressible by the common man. The lecture is over, 6:40, people do namaskaram, he waited there, and then he went back to his room. After 7:30, the situation was horrible, was terrifying, more cough, whole night no sleep. But then he took it up, he said, he did not speak anything, he was just bearing that throat pain, that willpower, that strength of mind that he exhibited till the last day of his life. We could see that physically and in person. And he used to tell, he had told me many times, he had told many swamis, many senior monks, and he said, when I'm speaking in my room, when I'm saying something, need not take seriously. Need not take it seriously. What does it mean? I asked him. And Swamiji said, Revered Maharaj said, when I'm speaking in my room, it is Ranganathananda speaking. Then I asked, then what else? Take my word seriously when I'm speaking on the days, on the stage, in the lecture. Isn't it paradoxical? Maharaj smiled and said, on stage, when I'm speaking, when this body is speaking, it is not Ranganathananda speaking, it is Sri Ramakrishna speaking. In the room, it is me, the individual. On the stage, it is worship of God, worship of the Lord through my speech. He is speaking. He is using this as an instrument. Take those words seriously. That's why his entire gamut of lectures, The quantum and the quality of lectures are amazing even till today. So practical and so relevant. Next point I would share with the devotees and other people who are participating in this webinar, in this satsang, is he was taking care of his body as much as possible. And he used to say, this body belongs to the Ramakrishna Sangha. It does not belong to you. You should take proper care of the body through exercise, good food, discipline. Don't be obsessed with the body, but take care of the body. A wonderful instrument for Swamiji's work. Do not neglect any sickness or any infections. Immediately it should be nipped in the bud. You should not become a liability to the Sangha. You should serve the Sangha. That is how he led from the front, and he made us also follow these principles. And I'm fortunate to be in Hyderabad, as just now Nidhi said, the Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, one of its only kind in the entire Ramakrishna order till now. Later on, many other organized Ramakrishna Mission centers and private centers took up this human excellence concept, which he visualized, which he visioned, and said there should be one center other than library, other than bookstall, other than school, college, where man-making education or the character-building education, the human excellence message of Swamiji would be imparted to the people. So this institute is his brainchild, and after revered Swami Srikantanandaji's transfer from Hyderabad to Kanpur and then to Pune, the Sangha asked me, Revered Gnanadanji asked me to take over this responsibility. So the last 10.5 years, I am carrying on the vision and mission of Swamiji and trying to fulfill the dream that he had of training the mind and character of boys and girls, of school children, of professionals, etc. So this has completed 20 years of service to the society, and we have trained more than 18 to 19 lakh people from 5th standard to post-graduation, and now online classes are going on non-stop to manifest the possibilities, manifest the potentiality, that infinite strength which Revered Ranganathanji wanted our young people to aspire for. And there's a small incident with which I will end. The lesson, the teaching that Swami Vivekananda mentioned. In one of his talks, Swamiji said, I consider a man great not by his big achievements or big lectures, but by the most common actions he does. Every man can become a hero on stage or in speech, but look at the man do his most common actions. This is where Ranganathanji goes forward a million feet, million miles from all of us. In our enthusiasm, we neglect the small things. But here is the man, here was the Sangha Guru at the time, when I was in Hyderabad and taking care of the garden and the kitchen. They had finished the garden work, and I'd gone back to my room for washing and getting ready for evening arati. Then there's a knock on the door of my room. Hurriedly I come and see the vice president at the time of the Ramakrishna order standing there in front of me. He had come personally to my room and knocked the door. In a hurry, I changed my dress and did offer my pranams to him and said, Maharaj, the reason of knocking. He said, come with me. He took me to the garden. There he showed me from a distance a big pool of water under the coconut tree, which is just opposite the Institute of Human Excellence. Then both of us went forward, and still the water was bubbling out from the earth. There was drip irrigation in the garden, which was supplying continuous, water to the coconut trees. That was the system at that time. And one particular place, the pipe had broken, and the water was overflowing. He said, look, this is what you have done. This is what you have observed. Whole night water would have gone. This is Thakur's work. This should not be neglected. Some pipe has broken. You did not observe it. I have observed it from a distance, and this is what you have to do. Within half an hour, things got changed. Things got corrected. The water was stopped, pipe was replaced, or some first aid was done to that situation, so that next day morning we would do a pakka work. And then he said, whatever you do, apply your mind and heart to this. This is Thakur's work. As much as we worship Thakur in the shrine, this is what we have to do in the garden, or in the kitchen, or in the market, or in the office. These are some of the fantastic, very practical lessons that personally I have learned, and we convey this message to all the devotees and their children who attend these classes in the Institute of Human Excellence. So it's our responsibility to all the devotees and the disciples. Maharaj has got enough praise, Maharaj has got enough of name and fame, but people